Hello world! Nintendo recently released Nintendo Switch 2 reveal trailer, and now fans all over the world are waiting for the successor of one of the most successful consoles ever, Nintendo Switch. Even though all we know about these consoles for now is its design, I got a lot to discuss with you guys. So without further ado, let's just dive right into the video. In this video, I want to talk about the pros and cons of this design in my opinion, also the expectations, beliefs, and hopes that I have for the next Nintendo Switch. Starting with the negatives, I want to say that I don't really like the bezels of this new screen. And to be more precise, the right and left bezels. I know that we had the same issue with the original Nintendo Switch, but now it's even a bigger of a problem because why can't you make these bezels thin from the launch of the new console? Why do we need to wait for the new enhanced version, aka Nintendo Switch OLED or Nintendo Switch 2 OLED or something like that? Why do we need to wait for it? Why can't we have the actual cool screen with thin bezels from the very start? That is, to be honest, disappointing, but I know it's business. I know it's all about money. So yeah, it's a negative for me. I don't know, what do you think about it? It's not that bad for me as it was with the original Nintendo Switch, because if we look at them and compare them, the new screen still looks better, the new bezels still look better, but yeah, it's still sort of disappointing that it's not that they are not thin from the very launch. The next thing I want to mention are actually the triggers. As you can see here, with the original Nintendo Switch, we didn't have analog triggers, and this was a main issue, actually one of the biggest issues for me when it comes to the gameplay with Nintendo Switch, because it's not only important for the shooter games, it's also very, and for me mainly important with the racing games. And not only racing games, but any game where you can sit in a car and drive it. And here on Nintendo Switch, we do not have analog triggers. And now with, at least from what I've seen at this Nintendo Switch 2 reveal trailer, I can say that we are not going to have analog triggers with the Nintendo Switch 2 as well. And that's a very negative point for me. I would love them to have analog triggers, but Nintendo doing what they want to do. They do not want to make us, they do not want us to have these analog triggers, and they decided that it's the best thing for us. So what can we do? Nothing, right? I just want to show you something here. Just one sec. I got my ROG LIX portable handheld PC, and I just posted one big video about it, so I would very much appreciate if you could go and check it. But anyways, here, even though it's not a console, it's still a handheld, and we got analog triggers, and it's so cool. You don't even know, if you haven't tried, it's very cool. It's like the immersiveness of gameplay is way higher, especially with the games like Forza Horizon or something like that, even though we don't have Forza Horizon at this version of Nintendo Switch, but maybe we will have it with the next one, but we are going to talk about all that in the next part of this video. Anyways, I'm very disappointed that we are not going to have a triggers with the new Nintendo Switch, but that is actually probably the last negative point that I'm going to mention about the design. And now let's move to the positive sides of this design. For me personally, I really loved that they made the screen bigger, and not just the screen but the whole device. I've seen a lot of opinions of people on the internet that they don't like that they made the screen bigger, that a lot of people think that it's not going to be comfortable anymore or something like that, or that the screen is too big. Me personally, I thought that the original screen of the original Nintendo Switch and the Nintendo Switch OLED was awesome. It was great. The size of it was good. But I'm really hyped up now because they made it bigger. For me, it's very cool, especially if they are making the screen better, like technically better than it was, and I hope that it's going to be better, but we are going to talk about it a little bit further in this video as well. And also, not only the screen is bigger, the whole device is bigger now. And with the bigger device comes bigger buttons. And this is actually a very positive thing, at least for me, because now we don't have these teeny tiny buttons. We are going to have a bigger, like normal controller size buttons, and not just the buttons, but also joysticks are going to be bigger, and I hope that they are going to be more comfortable because I didn't like original Nintendo Switch's joysticks that much, especially when it comes to the joystick drift. Me personally, I was lucky enough to never experience it. I only experienced it with the custom Joy-Con, but not with the original ones. And yeah, but I know that it's a major, like very big problem in the world. A lot of people have this issue, and yeah, I think it was a headache for Nintendo for a long time. But now it looks like we're going to have these joysticks with the holo effect, and this is probably going to fix that stick drift issue, and that's really cool. But also, not only that, but I also hope and expect the joysticks themselves to be more comfortable because they are bigger now, and with the holo effect they should like move smoother. I hope so, at least, and that would be great. So I really love that they made the size of this console bigger. Buttons are bigger now, and it should be more comfortable. And the last thing I want to talk about when it comes to the design and the advantages of this new design is probably going to be this new method of connecting your Joy-Cons to your console. So here with the original Nintendo Switch, we had that issue. When you connect your Joy-Con to the console, you can see that you can sort of move it. Still, you hear that, right? And it still moves, so it kind of breaks a little bit. For some people it's a main issue. For me, it wasn't that much of an issue, but still it is, right? And it kind of breaks that immersiveness and kind of breaks that feeling of the whole handheld. Because once again, I'm going to go with the ROG Ally-X, for example, because it's the only other handheld I have. Here you cannot divide these like alternatives of Joy-Cons, these two parts, right? And that's why you kind of feel like the whole device, you know, undetachable. And even though Nintendo Switch is designed like that, it should be with the detachable parts. Some people do not like how it feels when it like drifts, you know, and that's probably will be fixed with the new Joy-Con connecting method. And it looks like it's going to have this connector that you can see on your screen, and also the magnets. I think, and a lot of speculations on the internet are about it's being on the magnets as well, so it should have this better connection method. So that was it when it comes to the design, and now I want to move on to my expectations, hopes and beliefs of the new Nintendo Switch. The screen, I really hope that they are going to make this new screen 1080p, because lower, in my opinion, especially with a bigger screen, is not a way to go for Nintendo now. I think it should be minimum 1080p, and 1080p is actually a great sweet spot here. Especially now having ROG Ally-X, I can tell that 1080p really makes a difference. So I really hope that Nintendo are going to make that screen resolution 1080p. Please, Nintendo, that would be like, for me, it's the most expected thing. If it's lower than 1080p, I will be very disappointed, like hugely disappointed. And yeah, also OLED. I really doubt that they are going to make the screen OLED from the launch, as they haven't made bezels as thin as we had it on the OLED version. I kind of expect them to make it LCD, but that would be another very good surprise for me if they would make it OLED. OLED 1080p, that screen would just be perfect. It would kill all of the other competitors like right away, at least in terms of the screen. So 1080p OLED, brilliant. The next key aspect of it for me would be its power, especially now having all these PC handhelds out there on the market. We know that handheld can be very and very powerful. Of course, I will again go to the ROG Ally X that I have. Of course, it can't be that powerful. It's just, it cannot be for the price that Nintendo Switch should be. It cannot be that powerful, because this thing originally cost like $800, but like you can get it only for $1,000. But even for $800, it is too big of a price, and Nintendo cannot afford to make these consoles at that price. That's pretty much obvious. But what it can be is at least at the power of Steam Deck. And Steam Deck's price is originally like $350 of the LCD model, or $400, even like that, and that's great. So in my opinion, the power of Nintendo Switch 2 cannot be lower than Steam Deck's, the original LCD model of Steam Deck power. Of course it can, but for me, it wouldn't make that much of a difference compared to the previous version of Nintendo Switch if it won't be at least at the level of Steam Deck in terms of raw power. Because now with that power, we would be able to have a lot of games, a lot of third-party games first and foremost on Nintendo Switch 2, and that would be just awesome. And I hope that it will be like that. Also, we already know that Nintendo Switch 2 is going to have Nvidia's GPU, and we're probably going to have all these DLSS features or all of these AI features that are going to enhance our performance and maybe image quality or all of that. And that's actually very good to know, because again, going to ROG Ally X with the AMD FSR, frame generation, and all of these features, the games are really do shine. Even very like hard high-end games, they really perform really good on the handheld. And I hope that it's going to be the same thing with Nintendo Switch 2, and that would be just awesome. Talking about games, I hope that Nintendo Switch 2 will have much more third-party games than Nintendo Switch used to have. And I think it's going to be connected to the things that we talked about before. It's raw power. Hopefully, with the higher and better hardware, we are going to have much more third-party games. Alongside with the third-party games, I really expect third-party services to be on Nintendo. And even though I do not that much of a believer that it can even happen with Nintendo's policy, I think it would be great. Can you imagine having Xbox's Game Pass on Nintendo Switch 2, or at least some services like EA Play or Ubisoft Plus, I believe it's named, or something like that, all of the other third-party services? That would be just awesome. I do not believe in that just because of how much Nintendo really loves money, and they can sell their games because it's a handheld and there's no actual competitors in terms of console handhelds. Then yeah, I do not believe in that much. But if they make it will be just awesome. I would be just very surprised in a good way. One thing that is officially approved is backwards compatibility. But I want to add something on that. I would love to see an enhanced backward compatibility. Of course, we are going to have all these games like working on the backward with the backwards compatibility. But for example, I couldn't play the last Zelda, actually not the last, but it was Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, and I couldn't play it on the original Nintendo Switch because I didn't really like the performance. I didn't really like that sort of image quality and FPS that we got. So I decided to wait for the new Nintendo Switch, and I really hope that we are going to have something like enhanced backward compatibility. I really doubt that it's going to be working automatically. Like, you can, like, you just, from the very launch of Nintendo Switch 2, you could be able to launch any game and it will be working better than it used to on your previous Nintendo. That's very and very unlikely because I know that it's kind of technically depending on the whole design of the game. If it wasn't locked on the FPS, for example, on the, like, let's say the game had 30 FPS on Nintendo Switch and it wasn't locked on that, it was 30 FPS just because of the hardware of Nintendo Switch first version. And let's say if it wasn't locked, if the frame rate wasn't locked, it would be higher on the new version of Nintendo Switch. That's what I'm trying to say. But I think a lot of games and most of the games on these consoles are locked when it comes to the FPS. So probably if it's going to depend on that, or maybe I'm not understanding something technical wise, then it could have some sort of automatic backwards compatibility, and that would be great. But at least what I'm expecting from Nintendo is to make some sort of Nintendo Switch 2 updates of their games, and that you won't need to buy them again. The enhanced version, the Pro version, Nintendo Switch 2 version of that game, that would not be great. Sony did that a few times. A few times Sony gave us these enhanced versions of their games for free, but I'm not sure how Nintendo is going to act on that. But I really hope that I will be able just to use my cartridges and to play the games that I had, or at least some of them, or at least Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, The Legend of Zelda, to play it better than I used to on Nintendo Switch. Yeah, so I hope you understood my idea, even though maybe I explained it a little bit harder than I should. But yeah, something like that. And last, but for sure not least, the games that I'm expecting to have on the new Nintendo Switch 2. I would love to have a new Legend of Zelda game, especially if we are going from the perspective of hardware of Nintendo Switch 2 being better and more powerful. Can you imagine new Legend of Zelda game being graphically impressive, the whole open world being better, cooler? And yeah, that would be just awesome. I think that is the dream of a lot of, if not of every Nintendo fan, and that would be great. So I'm for sure waiting for the new game in the Legend of Zelda series. Also, Mario Odyssey type game would be great, like Mario Odyssey 2 or whatever they're gonna name it. I remember playing Mario Odyssey at the launch of the original Nintendo Switch, and that was a very fun and positive experience. So I really hope that we are going to have a new version of Mario Odyssey, like the new part, or anything that kind of Mario being in the sort of at least like halfway open world game would be just awesome. I'm very hyped up for that kind of game, and I hope that we are going to have it at the launch of the Nintendo Switch 2, or somewhere close, like at least in the first year or something like that. That would be just awesome. Another game that I'm waiting on would be a new Animal Crossing. I remember my experience with the previous version of Animal Crossing, and I played it probably somewhere close to its launch. I started it, it was really fun, but I couldn't stick with it, and I sort of dumped it like a few years ago. And now I just don't want to go back because I feel like I missed a lot and it seems sort of pointless. That's why I'm waiting for the new version of this game on Nintendo Switch 2, and I would love to play it. And of course, I love almost every Nintendo's exclusive, and I would love to have a new game on all of the franchises that they got, like Luigi's Mansion or Astral Chain or any other game. That would be very cool. So of course, we are waiting for the new games because games are what make these consoles that special, not just the console itself, right? And this was everything that I wanted to discuss with you guys in this video. I will be looking forward to have a conversation with you in the comment section down below, and I hope that we can have a lot of chats there. We can discuss everything, and I just want to know, what do you expect from the new Nintendo Switch, and what you like about the design that they revealed, or what you do not like. Everything will be very interesting. I read all the comments, and because I do not have that much of a comments, but I read all of them. I try to answer to all of them, and yeah, I just talk with you guys whenever you write. So I will be waiting for your comments, and goodbye, world.